Chapter 1 Dawn on the Sacred Lake. The Gentle Awakening Asterisk. You awaken to the slow, almost secret sound of reeds swaying around your canoe, their delicate stalks whispering in the cool breath of early morning. The air is damp, carrying the earthy scent of water and the faint perfume of distant blossoms, a mingling of nature's quiet fragrances that seem to wrap around you like an invisible blanket. Above the lake, a thin silver mist rises, curling in ghost-like ribbons that catch the first hesitant threads of sunlight. The surface of Lake Texcoco lies before you, vast and glassy, reflecting the coral and amber hues of a sky that is just beginning to blush with the promise of day. Somewhere beyond the horizon, the sun is stretching itself awake, and each new ray spills like molten gold upon the rippling water. The gentle rocking of your canoe is steady and hypnotic, back and forth, back and forth. Its motion is constant as the beating of a heart. Tiny wavelets kiss the sides of the vessel with a soft patter, a rhythm so even that it feels less like movement and more like breathing. Your wooden oar rests across your lap, smooth from the countless palms that have guided it before yours, its grain polished to a natural sheen by time and trust. When you dip it into the water, there is no splash, only the tender resistance of the lake yielding under your touch. A small ripple fans outward in perfect symmetry, breaking the mirrored reflection of the sky before fading again into stillness. Far in the distance, the island city of Tenochtitlan begins to take shape, slowly emerging from the gauzy veil of morning haze. The outlines of its temples grow sharper as the light strengthens, their limestone steps catching and holding the glow like ancient lanterns. The Great Pyramid rises above all else, reaching skyward as if in conversation with the clouds. Around it, hundreds of smaller structures, markets, and dwellings form a living mosaic, each tile connected by canals glistening in the dawn. Between the city and your canoe, countless chinampas, the famed floating gardens, dot the water like emerald rafts. They are rich with life, their soil heavy with maize, beans, chilies, squash, and tomatoes, all nurtured by the patience and devotion of those who tend them. You paddle slowly toward them, the lake's surface breaking in soft, concentric circles around your oar. Every stroke is unhurried, deliberate, each one carrying you deeper into the stillness. The air is filled with a layered chorus, the faint coo of doves nesting in the reeds, the soft splash of fish breaching for a fleeting insect, and the far-off murmur of voices carrying over the water from early risers in the gardens. The sounds are distant enough that they melt into the environment, becoming part of its texture. like the deep background hum of the earth itself. Here, everything moves in perfect, unspoken agreement. A heron glides overhead, its shadow slipping across the surface like the brush of a hand over silk. Schools of fish turn beneath you, their silver scales flickering in unison as if they were fragments of sunlight come to life. The breeze arrives in gentle waves, never cold, never harsh, just cool enough to stir the water lilies so that they bow politely to its passing. Even the clouds drift with intention, slow and elongated, mirroring the graceful flow of the currents below. The canoe itself is a story carved into wood. Hewn from a single cypress trunk, it bears the marks of tools used by hands long gone. The faint indentations of work shaped not by haste but by care. It carries with it a memory of journeys made before yours, of farmers carrying baskets brimming with vegetables to the great Tlatelolco market, of fishermen returning with their nets glistening, of children leaning over the edge to watch their reflections ripple into strange, dreamlike shapes. Each plank, each curve, each smooth contour holds the weight of centuries, as though the lake has taught the wood how to endure without forgetting the softness of the water that holds it. As you drift closer to the Chinampas, the gardens greet you with the fragrance of wet earth and fresh greenery. Flowers open slowly toward the sun, their petals trembling with the first touch of warmth. Somewhere in the branches, a bird begins a call so melodic and unhurried that you cannot tell if it has just begun or has been singing since the world was young. The scene before you becomes so complete, so whole, that it feels almost fragile, as though any sudden sound might disturb its balance. You rest thee or across the gunwales and close your eyes for a moment, letting the sounds and scents drift through you. The lake cradles your canoe with infinite patience. The city in the distance waits for your arrival without hurry, as if it knows that the true journey lies not in reaching the shore, but in lingering within this morning's gentle embrace. You inhale deeply, and the air fills you not only with oxygen, but with the subtle wisdom of a place that has witnessed the passing of empires and the quiet persistence of life. In this space, in this breath, in this soft golden hour, you understand why the Aztecs call these waters the foundation of heaven. It is not a name born from grandeur, but from truth. Here, earth and sky, water and wind, past and present, all meet without conflict. It is a place that holds you, gently but completely, reminding you that the world can move slowly, and still it will keep turning. And as you let your thoughts loosen and drift like petals upon the current, allow yourself to sink into this calm. Let the morning carry you. Let the water's steady rocking guide you deeper into rest. And before you let sleep fully take you, I invite you, in this same spirit of gentle connection, to leave a quiet gesture of appreciation. Press the like button if this moment has brought you peace, and subscribe so that we may meet again on another calm shore, beneath another rising sun. As you drift closer to the Chinampas, the intricate craftsmanship of these ancient creations begins to reveal itself, not in hurried flashes, but in the patient unfolding of a story told by earth, water, and human hands working together over centuries. The floating gardens do not shout for your attention. They simply exist, layered with quiet genius. Long ago, long before your canoe ever touched these waters, Aztec farmers learned to weave together living roots and buoyant plants, binding them into mats with a skill passed from parent to child like a precious inheritance. They used water hyacinth, its tangled roots both light and strong, along with the fibrous stems of cattails, their pale green stalks bending yet never breaking. These mats, thick and resilient, could bear the weight of deep, fertile soil gathered from the rich silt at the bottom of the lake, lifted up from the depths by poles and baskets in an effort as steady as the seasons. Once formed, the farmers anchored these floating plots with young willow trees, planting them so their roots grew down through the mats, piercing into the lake bed like the fingers of a hand finding purchase. Over the years, those roots thickened, hardened, and intertwined, until the islands became so fixed that they seemed as much a part of the lake as its reeds and lilies. Now, centuries later, these Chinampas stretch before you like a patchwork quilt of life. Green rows upon green rows, cut by narrow water channels as straight and still as a mirror. Each one is lush with crops that seem to grow directly from the water, their colors vivid against the muted silver of the morning mist. Marigolds stand in radiant golden lines, their petals glowing like fragments of sunrise scattered over the earth. The air around them is touched with their faint, peppery scent, a fragrance that mingles with the deeper, richer smell of soil newly turned by careful hands. Tomato vines, heavy with fruit the color of deep, full-hearted red, trail lazily toward the water's surface, their skins catching the light in glimmers like drops of wine. Between them, tall amaranth plants sway with unhurried grace, their purple flower heads bending under the weight of dew, each droplet catching the day's first light until it shines like a jewel in a crown of green. The air here is thick with the mingled sense of life, moist earth sharp and grounding, fresh leaves cool and green, the faint sweetness of lilies drifting from farther off. When you draw in a deep breath, the fragrances layer themselves upon one another, weaving a tapestry as complex as the gardens themselves. The act of breathing here feels like partaking in the life of the place, as though with each inhalation you are joining its slow, eternal rhythm. Your shoulders loosen, your heartbeat, once steady, slows further, aligning itself with the lake's pulse, measured, patient, timeless. To your right, an old farmer works alone on his chinampa. His posture is relaxed but purposeful, every movement deliberate, the quiet language of someone who has spent decades tending these waters. He kneels beside a young row of maize, brushing his weathered fingers gently along each stalk as though confirming its health through touch alone. His dark eyes carry the calm focus of a man who knows that each plant holds the promise of sustenance and ceremony alike. For the Aztecs, maize is not merely a crop, it is the seed of life itself, a gift from the gods. Their myths speak of the divine shaping of humanity from corn dough, of bones ground with maize to form the flesh of humankind. In this way, the farmer's work is not simply agricultural labor, but an act of reverence, a kind of worship carried out in soil and sunlight. Noticing your canoe drifting by, the farmer straightens and raises a hand in greeting, the gesture easy and without urgency. His face is lined with the deep creases of a life lived outdoors. But when he smiles, those lines seem to fold into the shape of kindness itself. Buenos dias, he calls softly across the water, his voice warm and clear despite the distance. The words float toward you, carried by the still morning air as though on invisible threads. The lake is peaceful this morning, is it not? He says, not as a question expecting an answer, but as an affirmation of something you both feel. You return his smile and nod, and for a moment, it is as if you have been welcomed into a world that existed long before you, and will remain long after. The farmer turns back to his work, his lips moving in quiet song. The melody is in Nahuatl, the ancient and lilting language of his ancestors, each note shaped with a care that matches his tending of the maize. The sound carries across the channel, mixing with the gentle call of water birds and the subtle lap of small waves against your canoe. The music has no sharp edges. It folds into the morning, dissolving into the air like mist meeting sunlight. Your canoe slides silently between two chinampas whose edges are lined with flowers. These blooms are not grown merely for their beauty, though beauty they have in abundance. They serve a purpose, attracting bees and other gentle pollinators, providing petals for offerings and feasts, and coloring the ceremonial garlands used in religious rites. Here, the sympathical marigold reigns supreme, its orange petals bright enough to catch the eye even through the soft morning haze. Centuries from now, these same flowers will guide the spirits of the dead back to the land of the living during the Day of the Dead, their scent and color forming a path between worlds. Beneath your boat, the water is so clear you can see fish moving slowly in the shadows below, their bodies shifting between light and darkness as the ripples above dance across their backs. Each movement seems unhurried, as though time here bends to the pace of the lake itself. A few water striders skate across the glassy surface, their legs dimpling the water in delicate, perfect circles before the surface smooths itself again. Every living thing in this place, from the flowers to the fish to the people, appears bound by the same law of unhurried harmony. There is no rush here, no pressing clock, only the unfolding of life at the pace it was meant to keep. You trail your fingers through the water as you pass, feeling its coolness slip between them. The sensation is grounding, almost ceremonial, as though the lake itself is acknowledging your presence with a soft touch. And as you move forward, deeper among the gardens, you realize that this moment, this air, this water, this ancient woven earth, is not something you are merely passing through. You are part of it now, drifting at its speed, breathing its breath, carrying its stillness inside you. As your canoe glides deeper into this floating garden paradise, you begin to see, not with the hurried glance of a passing visitor, but with the patient eye of someone who has decided to truly look, how the Aztecs have mastered the art of working with the natural world rather than against it. They do not try to push the lake into submission, to drain it, to block it, to reshape it into something unrecognizable. Instead, they learn its moods and its movements. They listen to its voice in the morning wind. They read its currents like lines in a sacred book, and they build their lives in harmony with its quiet strength. They don't fight the lake. They dance with it, matching step for step with a partner far older and wiser than any single generation could be. They don't conquer the water. They become part of its rhythm, so completely that the boundaries between human and nature dissolve into a single breathing whole. The morning sun, now climbing higher with the steady determination of daybreak, warms your face and hands, the light spreading across your skin like a slow tide of comfort. Droplets of mist cling to your hair and clothing, cool at first, but now beginning to evaporate, leaving behind only the faintest shimmer. Above you, the pale blush of dawn gives way to a sky of clear blue, streaked with the last wisps of the morning haze. The mist begins to lift, unwrapping the intricate network of canals and gardens like a gift revealing itself piece by piece. You can now see how carefully the chinampas are laid out, a geometric puzzle of green rectangles and narrow waterways, each one designed not just for beauty or efficiency, but for a balance between both. Everywhere you look, you see the evidence of thoughtful planning and patient labor. These gardens did not rise from the lake by accident. They were coaxed into existence with steady hands and unwavering trust in time. The Aztec farmers knew that what they built would not be finished in a season. They understood that the best and most enduring things are those that grow slowly, layer upon layer, until they become as much a part of the landscape as the trees, the fish, and the water itself. Here, permanence is not carved in stone. It is woven into the living fabric of the earth and water. A blue heron stands motionless in the shallows to your left, its long neck curved in a question mark of patience. Its reflection in the still water is so perfect, so undisturbed, that for a moment you cannot tell where the bird ends and its image begins. Its eyes, deep and unblinking, watch you pass, not with fear or suspicion, but with the calm assessment of a creature that has seen countless mornings such as this, and will see countless more. When it turns its gaze back to the water, it does so with deliberate stillness, resuming its slow, meditative hunt. Here, time moves differently. It does not keep pace with the frantic tick of clocks or the impatient buzz of alarms. It is measured instead by the gradual unfurling of a lily pad, by the patient arc of the sun across the sky, by the quiet swelling of maize kernels on their stalks. Days here are not counted. They are lived, each one folding gently into the next, the way ripples merge into the greater body of the lake. You lay your paddle across your knees and let the canoe drift on its own, the current guiding you through this maze of green and gold. The Chinampas will wait. They have always waited, for centuries, for each season, for each caretaker, for each returning bird. There is no need to hurry toward them. For now, it is enough simply to float in this morning peace, letting the sound of water, wind, and growing things fill the space where thoughts once rushed in. The Aztec farmers who created this paradise understood something that modern life often forgets: that the human spirit is not nourished by speed, but by connection. They knew that people thrive when they belong to something greater than themselves. When their hands are in the soil, their ears open to the birds, their hearts in rhythm with the water. Here on Lake Texcoco, surrounded by the slow breathing of the gardens and the quiet pulse of the lake, you feel that connection as though it has always been there, waiting for you to notice. Your breathing becomes an extension of the water's own rhythm. Long, unhurried inhales match to the slow lift of a gentle wave, soft, steady exhales that fall into the same pace as the ripples against the canoe. Your muscles, once tight without you even realizing it, begin to let go. The warmth of the sun works its way into your shoulders, down your arms, into your hands resting loosely on your lap. You feel lighter, not because the world has changed, but because here in this place, its weight is held for you by the lake. The morning light grows stronger, brightening the water until it becomes a canvas painted in strokes of gold, turquoise, and soft jade. The colors shift as the ripples move, creating patterns that never repeat, yet always feel familiar. In this moment, you understand why the Aztecs called this place sacred. It is not only for its beauty, though beauty abounds in every direction. It is for the deeper truth, the sense of rightness, of belonging, of standing exactly where you are meant to stand in the exact moment you are meant to be there. Your eyes grow heavier with each gentle rock of the canoe, your body swaying in perfect synchrony with the water's motion. The sounds around you become softer, yet more complete. The high, delicate song of birds woven together with the low, steady hum of the lake. Somewhere in the distance, a fish jumps, the splash echoing in the morning air before melting back into silence. The reeds at the water's edge murmur in the light breeze, a language you do not need to understand to feel its meaning. The lake is singing to you, in a voice older than memory, a voice made of patience and care. And so you let go, you drift, you rest, and before you sink completely into the embrace of this timeless water, let this moment be a small exchange. If the stillness you found here has brought you comfort, let your thanks ripple outward. Press the like button gently, as one might place a flower into calm water, and subscribe, so that together we can return to this lake, to this peace, to this shared breath, whenever you wish. Your eyes begin to feel heavy as the gentle rocking of the canoe works its quiet magic, lulling you toward sleep with the patience of the lake itself. The water cradles you without hurry, without demand, rocking you as a parent might rock a child. Around you, the soft sounds of the lake weave themselves into a lullaby more ancient than any song you have ever known. Birdsong drifts in from the gardens, high and delicate, each note echoing faintly over the open water. Beneath it, the whispers of the lake's surface slip in and out of hearing. Small ripples breaking, reeds swaying, the occasional flutter of wings brushing against the air. From somewhere unseen, there's the light splash of a fish leaping and returning to the water. A sound so brief yet so complete it seems to close a circle you didn't know was open. The reeds at the water's edge sway gently in the morning breeze, their rustle soft as silk sliding over skin. Each reed seems to breathe in time with the lake, leaning slightly with each gust before returning to stillness. The air is fresh, touched with the green scent of living plants and the faint sweetness of water lilies, as though the lake itself has perfumed the morning just for you. You close your eyes and let that peace, deep and full, wash over you in slow waves. Tomorrow, you will set out to explore the heart of the great city of Tenochtitlan, its temples and plazas, its markets and streets. But for now, there is no need to hurry toward that future. For now, it is enough to drift here on the sacred lake, wrapped in the presence of ancient wisdom and timeless beauty. The morning mist rises still, curling upward in pale silver strands that catch the light, carrying with them the dreams and hopes of countless generations who have lived and loved and labored by these waters. Your canoe rocks gently, back and forth, the steady motion as peaceful and familiar as a cradle in the world's most beautiful nursery. Your eyelids grow heavier still, the warmth of the sun mingling with the coolness of the breeze until you cannot tell one from the other. The air hums softly through the lilies, the sound deepening into something almost musical, a harmony of wind and water. You drift deeper until the boundary between waking and dreaming begins to fade. Floating gardens and the quiet faces of farmers appear in your thoughts, blending with visions of temples, plazas, and the shining surface of the lake. Chapter 2: The Living Market of Tlatelolco. Voices of Commerce and Community *. You wake from your gentle morning rest to find the world subtly changed. The sun has climbed higher, and the mist that once hid the horizon has thinned, revealing the great causeway that leads to Tlatelolco. Your canoe drifts toward it almost of its own accord, as though drawn by the hum of life that seems to emanate from the distant shore. Tlatelolco, the sister city of Tenochtitlan, rises before you like a jewel in the morning light. The city shimmers in hues of cream and stone, streaked with the bright colors of painted walls and fluttering market banners. You can hear it before you can fully see it, the soft murmur of thousands of voices blending together into a harmonious hum. It is not the metallic clatter or harsh shouting of modern marketplaces, but a sound rich and full, like the overlapping notes of an endless, living song. The causeway that joins Tlatelolco to the rest of the lake stretches out before you like a ribbon of stone laid upon the water. Built from volcanic rock and packed earth, it is broad and strong, wide enough for 8 people to walk abreast. As you paddle alongside it, you notice how the massive stones fit together so perfectly that no mortar is needed. Each block is shaped and placed with such precision that it seems the work of a single hand. Yet you know it was built over time by countless skilled craftsmen. Aztec engineers designed it to move with the lake, allowing it to withstand storms, floods, and even earthquakes for centuries. Small canoes crowd the water around you, each one on its own quiet mission. Some glide swiftly, their paddlers eager to reach the market before the busiest hours. Others move slowly, weighted down with heavy cargo, their bows low in the water. An elderly woman passes by, her canoe filled with bundles of brilliant quetzal feathers that shimmer in emerald and gold as the sunlight touches them. These feathers will soon be transformed into ceremonial headdresses, worn by nobles and priests in grand rituals. She catches your eye and nods with quiet dignity, her face calm, her movements as fluid as a dancer's, each stroke of her paddle a gesture of practiced grace. The air carries with it the first threads of the market song. Vendors call out their wares in melodic Nahuatl, their voices rising and falling like the verses of a chant. Tomatoes, fresh tomatoes, drifts across the water in warm tones, followed by the rhythmic, almost musical call of cacao beans from the warm lands. Each voice adds to the chorus, blending into a soundscape that is part commerce, part community ritual. As you draw closer, the diversity of the boats around you becomes clearer. One passes with its deck piled high in pyramids of golden corn, the kernels still on the cob and gleaming in the early light. Another carries long bolts of hand-woven cloth dyed in colors so deep they seem to drink in the sun. Crimson, turquoise, and a blue so dark it borders on black. The patterns are intricate, each one telling a story of the family that wove it. Symbols of rivers, mountains, and stars. Motifs passed down like heirlooms through the hands of skilled women who learned their craft from mothers and grandmothers. A narrow canoe glides by with a cargo of pottery, each vessel wrapped carefully in soft, dried grass to prevent it from chipping or breaking on the journey from distant villages. The clay is painted in warm reds and earthy browns, some with patterns of jaguars and serpents, others with scenes of planting and harvest. The paddler nods to you in greeting before disappearing into the flow of traffic moving toward the bustling heart of the market. Even here, before you have set foot on shore, you can feel that this place is alive, not just in the physical sense, but in the way it pulses with the spirit of shared purpose. The market is more than a place to trade goods. It is where stories are exchanged, alliances are strengthened, and the threads of the community are woven together anew each day. You tie your canoe to one of the smooth wooden posts that line the landing area, feeling the gentle resistance of the cord as it wraps around the grain. The post itself has been polished to a silken sheen by the endless passage of hands and ropes, each one belonging to someone with a purpose. Traders returning from distant shores, farmers bringing harvests from the Chinampas, messengers carrying news from faraway provinces. Upon closer look, you see the post is not just functional, it is carved. The shallow etchings are simple but deliberate, forming symbols that speak of safety, abundance, and goodwill. To the untrained eye, they might look like abstract patterns, but here in Tenochtitlan, every mark has meaning. These are blessings, charms against misfortune, prayers for fair trade, whispers of gratitude for a safe journey across the water. Stepping onto the stone landing, you feel a change beneath your feet. The wooden creak of your canoe gives way to the grounded certainty of stone, each slab set by hands that understood permanence. The landing has endured decades, perhaps centuries, under the steady flow of bare feet and woven sandals. The Aztecs built with the knowledge that life is not only about the present moment but about what will stand for generations. To them, the marketplace was not simply a site for trade. It was the heartbeat of a city, a place where knowledge, goods, and stories were exchanged in equal measure. Friendships were woven here, thread by thread, over shared meals and long conversations. Agreements were sealed not only with spoken words but with trust, cultivated patiently over years. Before you, the market unfolds like a living tapestry, a landscape of vibrant colors, textures, and scents. But it is not frantic. No rushing footsteps, no shouts to grab attention. Instead, the flow is calm, like a slow-moving river where every gesture has intention. Buyers stroll with unhurried curiosity, pausing to lift a piece of fruit to their noses, inhaling its sweet promise before setting it down with care. Hands slide over smooth cotton cloth, fingers exploring its weave, the way it catches light. Sellers, in turn, wait with quiet dignity, their eyes warm but patient. They understand that the finest customers are not those who decide in haste, but those who take time to truly see, to truly appreciate the labor and love in every offering. You move down the central path, its stones darkened by centuries of footfalls. On either side, stalls rise in orderly rows, their displays arranged with artistic precision. Here, a vendor has laid out chili peppers in a careful spectrum, pale yellow at one end, deepening through sun-warmed orange, bold crimson, and finally to the almost black intensity of the rarest varieties. Each shade has its story, its heat, its perfect role in the complex songs of Aztec cuisine. A subtle scent draws you to one stall in particular, a spice seller whose table is a burst of fragrance so rich it feels like the air itself has flavor. The woman tending it has kind eyes, the sort that speak of both wisdom and generosity. She catches your gaze and gestures for you to step closer. Her stall is a feast for the senses. Neat clay bowls hold ground chilies ranging from bright vermilion to dusty maroon. Bundles of vanilla beans lie in precise stacks, their black, glossy surfaces releasing a scent that is both sweet and deep, curling through the air like invisible silk. Nearby, cacao beans, small, oval, and smooth, are arranged in mounded rows, sorted meticulously by size and origin. Each pile represents a journey. Beans brought over mountains, across rivers, through hands that understand their worth. Here in the Aztec world, cacao is not just an ingredient. It is currency, a symbol of wealth, a link in the great chain of trade that binds cities together. She leans forward slightly, lowering her voice as though sharing a secret. "Try this," she says, offering you the tip of a clean wooden spoon. On it lies a pinch of ground achiote, a warm, rust-colored powder. You place it on your tongue, and the taste blooms slowly, earthy, faintly nutty, touched with a sun-baked sweetness. A warmth spreads across your mouth and into your chest, like a gentle fire on a cool morning. "From the Maya lands to the south," she explains, "we trade our obsidian blades for spices like this. Each land offers what it has, and in return, receives what it needs." Her words carry more than commerce. They carry the essence of connection, the quiet truth that no place thrives alone. As you stand there, the air is thick with the mingling sense of maize dough grilling on a clay griddle, of herbs crushed for remedies, of fresh-cut flowers laid out in vivid heaps. A breeze drifts through the market, stirring banners overhead, their bright colors swaying like the reflection of a dream in water. Somewhere nearby, a musician plucks the strings of a wooden instrument, its notes delicate and slow, rising and falling like breath. The market hums not with noise, but with life itself, a steady pulse that you feel in your bones. Every sound, every smell, every face seems softened by the morning light. You realize that here, in this place, time stretches and deepens. You could walk for hours among the stalls, tasting, listening, learning, and still there would be more to discover. More stories hidden in every grain of cacao, in every fold of woven cloth. And as the day begins to warm, you find yourself smiling without reason, simply grateful to be here, to witness this harmony of human hands and ancient waters. You think of the journey back to your canoe, of the mist that will rise again tomorrow, and of the countless mornings like this that have unfolded over centuries. And so, before you drift further into rest, I leave you with this gentle reminder. If you've enjoyed this journey through the sacred lake and the heart of the market, let your support ripple outward like the circles your leaves on the water. Like this video, subscribe to our channel, and let the stories continue flowing into your nights, carrying you peacefully into dreams, again and again. You wander deeper into the heart of the market, your steps slow and unhurried, as if the rhythm of this place has gently taken hold of your breath and your heartbeat. The air here carries a tapestry of scents, the earthy sweetness of maize, the sun-warmed perfume of ripening fruit, the subtle bitterness of cacao, the green freshness of herbs newly plucked from their gardens. Everywhere you turn, there is movement, but it is never frantic. The people here work not with the restless haste of competition, but with the calm certainty that every gesture has its place in the great weaving of life. This philosophy, this understanding that life thrives when every thread is woven in harmony, runs through everything you see. In this world, trade is not a game to be won, not a contest to outmaneuver another, but a quiet agreement that wealth means nothing if it does not nourish all. There are no whispers of artificial scarcity, no schemes to hold back the harvest so that its price may rise. Here, abundance is shared because abundance belongs to everyone. A merchant's pride is not in how much they can hoard, but in how well they can meet a need. As you move deeper still, the market begins to unfold in sections, each one devoted to its own craft, its own lifeblood. In the pottery quarter, sunlight catches on rows of glazed vessels, their shapes perfected over generations. Water jugs stand in dignified lines, their narrow necks and wide bodies shaped with wisdom to keep liquid cool beneath the relentless sun. Cooking pots, blackened from countless fires, bear the fingerprints of the hands that shaped them. The same hands that knew exactly how to balance form and function so that heat would spread evenly and food would cook to perfection. And among them, purely for beauty, sit bowls and platters painted in rich earth tones and bold patterns, each one a scene in miniature. Farmers in the fields, dancers at a festival, a jaguar prowling in the night. Beyond, the air begins to change. It is softer here, filled with the hush of fabric sliding against fabric, the muted murmur of the textile quarter. Weavers from every corner of the empire have come here to show the work of their hands and their patience. Cloth hangs from wooden beams, swaying gently in the breeze. Cotton dyed in colors so vivid they seem lit from within. Red so deep it holds the warmth of the sun, coaxed from tiny cochineal insects. Blue as serene as twilight over the lake, drawn from the leaves of the indigo plant. Golden yellows that carry the memory of a dozen flowers and roots. Every color is more than a shade. It is a secret, a piece of ancestral knowledge, guarded and cherished, passed down from teacher to student like a blessing. You pause beside an older woman working at a backstrap loom, her body leaning with a grace born from decades of practice. Her fingers dance without hesitation, guiding each thread through the warp with the steady rhythm of breath itself. The wooden shuttle glides forward, then back, then forward again, each movement adding another line to the story growing in the cloth. She does not follow a drawing, nor glance at a pattern. The design lives within her, carried in her memory like a song. This pattern, she says, without looking up, her voice a low ripple in the warm air, tells of the rain god, Tlaloc, bringing the waters to the waiting earth. Here, she gestures with a tilt of her chin. These blue threads are the rain, falling in long streams. See how they wind through the brown threads of the soil. When someone wears this cloth, they carry that blessing with them, a reminder that the rains will return, and with them, life. The air shifts again as you move onward, richer now, heavier with the perfume of fresh produce. This is the food section, and though it overflows with abundance, there is nothing hurried or chaotic here, only a gentle pride in the harvest. Great mounds of tomatoes rise before you, their skins glistening as if the morning sun has settled upon them. Deep crimson, bright yellow, pale green, each color tells of a different soil, a different garden, a different hand that tended them with care. Avocados are arranged by ripeness, from firm green fruits that will take days to soften to dark, velvety ones ready to slice open and eat today. Baskets overflow with beans in shades of black, white, speckled brown, and red, each variety holding within it the history of the farmer who grew it, the flavor of the land that nourished it, the patience of the season that brought it forth. As you stand there watching the slow, deliberate exchange between farmers and buyers, you realize that nothing here is just an object to be sold. Everything, from the smallest clay cup to the richest bolt of cloth, from the tiniest bean to the largest pumpkin, carries a piece of someone's life, someone's labor, someone's gratitude. This is not simply commerce. This is an endless conversation between the land, the people, and the gods, spoken in the language of craft, care, and generosity. And as your eyes take in the colors, your ears the gentle hum of voices, your lungs the warm, fragrant air. You feel yourself begin to drift. The slow rhythm of this place, unbroken by urgency, untouched by greed, settles deep into you, like a soft blanket around your mind. You breathe, and the world breathes with you. The market, the lake, the gardens, the mountains beyond. They all seem to exist not as separate things, but as threads in one great weaving, a weaving that holds you, supports you, rocks you gently toward rest. And here, in this timeless moment, as the weight of the day begins to dissolve and your body feels lighter with each breath, I'll leave you with a simple reminder. If this journey has brought you peace tonight, if the colors and the quiet rhythms have helped guide you toward stillness, please take a moment, before your eyes grow too heavy, to like this video and subscribe to the channel. By doing so, you help keep these journeys alive, not just for yourself, but for all who seek a soft place to rest. Sleep well, and may the blessings of rain, earth, and sky be with you. The corn section draws you like a magnet, as if some invisible hand is guiding your steps toward it. The moment you enter this part of the market, the atmosphere changes. The smell of dried husks and freshly ground masa mingles with the faint sweetness of cooked corn. Before you even see the stalls, you hear the rustle of corn leaves in the morning breeze. A sound that is somehow both delicate and ancient, like the whisper of history itself. Here, laid out in careful rows under the sun, is the sacred grain, the heartbeat of the Aztec world. This is more than food. It is the foundation of identity, the very material from which, according to their creation stories, humanity was shaped. Each ear rests like a treasure on woven reed mats, arranged not haphazardly but with quiet ceremony, as though each cob knows it holds within it the story of a people. White corn, luminous as moonlight, yellow corn glowing like the mid-morning sun. Red corn as deep and warm as embers in a hearth. Blue corn, rare and almost otherworldly, the color of twilight over distant mountains. And then there are the marvels, the multicolored ears speckled with reds, golds, purples, and creams, as if each kernel were a jewel set into nature's crown. The sight is so captivating you almost forget to breathe. A corn seller, noticing the way you linger, beckons you closer with a smile that is both knowing and welcoming. Her skin is browned and creased from years of working the fields, her hands strong yet gentle. She picks up an ear of the deep blue variety and holds it as one might hold a sacred relic. The kernels gleam with a purple-black luster, each one round and full, catching the light in a way that makes them seem polished. "This corn is special," she says softly, as though speaking too loudly might disturb the spirit of the grain. It comes from the high mountains, where the air is thin and pure, and the sun touches the earth in a way it does nowhere else. We grind it into fine flour to make tortillas only for the most sacred ceremonies. The blue represents the evening sky, the time when the gods speak most clearly to mortals. When you eat it, you honor that connection. She breaks off a single kernel and rolls it between her fingers, the faint crunch of its dried shell almost imperceptible. Every seed has a memory, she continues. The wind, the rain, the soil, the prayers we give all are stored in here. Plant it and the memory grows. Her words are not a sales pitch. They are a gift, an invitation to see the corn not as a crop but as a living archive. You drift onward and find yourself equally fascinated by the market's trading system. There are no coins clinking in pouches here, no stamped metal to change hands. Instead, cacao beans, dark, smooth and fragrant, serve as currency, their value as real as gold. You see small piles of them measured out with precision, counted one by one. Other traders carry delicate quills filled with gold dust, the sunlight catching each grain as the quills are unwrapped. Cotton mantles, soft yet sturdy, are folded neatly in stacks, ready to be exchanged for goods of equal worth. And yet, much of the exchange is barter, an elegant system built on balance and trust. A farmer with too many tomatoes negotiates with a potter whose village has rich clay but poor soil. They agree without haggling too long, both smiling in satisfaction. A fisherman trades fresh lake fish for obsidian blades. A weaver offers a shawl in exchange for a basket of herbs. It is an economy without cold detachment, one that remembers the face and voice of every trade partner. The scent of blossoms draws you toward a flower seller's stall, a small oasis of color in an already vibrant market. Here marigolds blaze with the orange of molten gold, their petals dense and velvety, destined to honor the spirits of the dead. Jasmine releases its intoxicating perfume into the air, sweet but never cloying, a reminder that beauty can be gentle. Orchids in impossible shapes and colors, pale green like jade, purple streaked with silver, white with throats of crimson. Rest in clay bowls of water to keep them fresh, each one seeming to have been painted by a patient, invisible hand. The flower seller herself is young, but her hands are marked with the fine calluses of long work. She selects blooms with the precision of an artist mixing colors on a palette. Flowers are the language of the gods, she tells you, arranging stems with careful deliberation. Each color, each scent, each shape carries a message. When we bring them to the temples, we speak without words, and the gods answer without sound. She hands you a marigold, its petals warm from the sun. For safe journeys, she says simply. As the sun rises higher, the market settles into its true rhythm, a pace that ignores the concept of haste. People move not in lines but in gentle currents, stopping to greet old friends, to ask after family members, to share news from their villages. Deals are made, yes, but so are promises, jokes, and invitations. The market is not only the beating heart of trade but of community itself, where the invisible threads that tie people together are knotted and reknotted with each interaction. Children weave between the stalls, their laughter ringing like small bells. They are not idle. They are watching, learning the art of fair dealing, the way to weigh trust as carefully as goods. Vendors hand them little gifts, a slice of fruit, a tiny toy carved from wood, without expectation of payment. Such kindness is not charity but an investment in the future, a seed planted in young hearts. From one section of the market drifts an irresistible aroma. The food preparation area is alive with the quiet music of cooking. Women grinding corn on heavy stone metates, their movements steady and precise. The sound of stone against grain creates a soft percussion, keeping time with the hum of conversation. Flat clay griddles or comales send up the scent of fresh tortillas, warm, toasty, and edged with the faint smokiness of wood fires. One vendor, noticing your gaze, gestures you closer and hands you a tortilla still steaming from the griddle. She spreads it with crushed avocado, the green flesh creamy and rich, then sprinkles it lightly with salt. The flavors bloom in your mouth, the corn sweet and nutty, the avocado smooth, the salt bright and clean. You take your time eating, aware that you are consuming not just food but the layers of generosity, tradition, and history that come with it. And somewhere, beneath all the color and sound, you sense a quiet truth. This market is not just a place where goods are traded, but a living tapestry where every thread, every stall, every handshake, every kernel of corn is part of a pattern that has endured for centuries. The afternoon sun drifts lower in the sky, its golden light spilling like liquid honey across the open-air expanse of the Tlatelolco market. Every woven basket, every polished gourd, every shining ear of maize seems to catch a spark of that brilliance, as if touched by an unseen hand of magic. The shadows stretch long and soft, giving the market a kind of hushed, sacred beauty. an unspoken signal that the day's rhythm is gently slowing. Vendors begin to gather up their remaining goods, yet there is no trace of hurry in their movements. No frantic bargaining, no desperation to clear stock before the day ends. Instead, there is a deep, patient confidence, born from centuries of tradition, that tomorrow will come with its own opportunities. Tomorrow will bring the same rising sun, the same hum of voices, the same steady current of generosity that flows through this place like the canals themselves. Here, selling is not a battle and buying is not a conquest. It is a shared ritual, a weaving together of needs and gifts in a way that leaves no one empty-handed. As you walk through the closing stalls, you notice that even in winding down, the market remains alive with quiet beauty. A potter gently stacks the last of her black clay cooking pots, their surfaces catching the golden glow like tiny embers. A young boy carefully folds colorful textiles, each fold releasing the faint, earthy scent of natural dyes. Cochineal, indigo, marigold, until the woven stories are tucked neatly away, ready to be told again tomorrow. Somewhere nearby, the rich, warm smell of roasted cacao drifts on the evening air, mingling with the sharper green scent of fresh herbs still lying in neat bundles on a reed mat. The voices grow softer now, like the market itself is lowering its tone to a lullaby. The children's laughter, once bright and ringing, now becomes a kind of gentle hum as they gather close to their families. Footsteps slow to an unhurried shuffle, and the clinking of tools, baskets, and pottery becomes a background rhythm. Steady, calm, and certain. The whole place feels like a single living being, settling into a state of rest after a day of giving and receiving. You begin your walk back toward the edge of the market, each step carrying with it the weight and warmth of the lessons you've absorbed here. You've seen what it means for an economy to thrive without greed, where the measure of prosperity is not how much one person can take, but how much the community can share. You've witnessed abundance that flows like water, replenishing, nourishing, always moving to where it is most needed. The air grows cooler as you reach the dock where your canoe waits, bobbing gently on the water. The lake stretches before you, calm and glassy, reflecting the colors of the sunset. Deep rose, soft peach, and the faintest shimmer of violet. It feels as though the sky has spilled itself onto the water, so that you are about to paddle into a painted dream. You untie the rope from the post, the fibers rough and warm from the day's sun, and step into your boat. The wood creaks softly under your weight, greeting you like an old friend. As your paddle dips into the water, The ripples spread in slow, widening circles, carrying away the sounds of the market and drawing you into the stillness of evening. You move without hurry, each stroke of the paddle in time with your deepening breath. The air smells faintly of wet earth and flowering plants, a scent that seems to settle into your bones. Somewhere in the distance, a bird calls once, twice, before falling silent, letting the world sink further into quiet. The market's final echoes reach you even here, soft voices carried on the breeze, drifting like a half-remembered song. They fade and blend with the gentle lapping of water against your canoe, becoming one with the rhythm of your journey. The lake's surface, now touched with night, begins to mirror the first faint stars, so that you seem to be paddling between two skies, one above, vast and infinite, and one below, rippling gently beneath your boat. Your eyelids grow heavy, lulled by the steady dip and lift of your paddle, the muted hush of the water, the fading warmth of the day. The world narrows to the soft sound of your own breathing, the cool caress of evening air on your face, and the deep sense of peace that fills every part of you. The sacred lake holds you as if it knows you belong here, not as a visitor passing through, but as part of its timeless story. And so you drift, slowly, effortlessly, carried not only by the water but by the feeling you have found in Tlatelolco. That true abundance is quiet, steady, and shared. The night gathers around you, gentle and protective, as your mind slips into dreams filled with warm light, kind voices, and the endless peace of a world that understands how to give. You awaken to find yourself standing at the threshold of the Kalmakak, the most sacred and prestigious school in all of Tenochtitlan. The air around you is cool and still, holding the gentle scent of wet stone and fresh earth after the dawn mist. A delicate silver haze clings to the ancient volcanic blocks, giving them a faint glow as if they themselves hold the breath of the gods. Here, time feels slower, each sound and movement softened by the quiet dignity of this place. This is no ordinary place of learning. It is the training ground for the future leaders, priests, poets, historians, and philosophers of the Aztec Empire. Within these walls, the children of nobles and high priests are taught not only the knowledge of their people, but also the wisdom of the ages, wisdom that is believed to flow directly from the gods. Before you, the building rises in solemn grandeur, resembling a temple more than a school. Its walls, made from the finest blocks of volcanic stone, are perfectly cut and aligned, fitted so tightly that not even a blade of obsidian could slip between them. The surface of the stone is warm to the touch despite the morning coolness, absorbing and holding the sun's first light. Across the entrance arch, elaborate carvings unfurl in graceful patterns. Swirling plumes of feathers, curling serpentine bodies, and radiant suns. At the center of this artistry, you see the unmistakable form of Quetzalcoatl asterisk, the feathered serpent, god of wisdom, creation, and the dawn of learning. His eyes seem to follow you with an expression that is neither stern nor indulgent, but deeply knowing, measuring your heart more than your appearance. From somewhere deep within the school, a bronze bell sounds, its tone pure and clear, like a drop of fresh water falling into a still pool. It is not the metallic, abrupt clang of modern school bells, but a soft, rounded note that seems to ripple gently through the air. The sound lingers for several breaths before fading into the subtle chorus of morning birdsong and the whisper of leaves stirred by the breeze. Even the wind here feels careful, as though it respects the sacred purpose of this place. A small group of students approaches, walking in quiet procession toward the entrance. They are dressed in simple, white cotton tunics, clean, unadorned, and perfectly pressed. No ornaments, no jewelry, no display of wealth interrupts the humility of their attire. These garments speak of purity, equality, and focus. Here in the Kalmakak, all are stripped of worldly distractions so they may be shaped into vessels of knowledge and virtue. The children range in age from very young boys and girls of 6 or 7, still small enough that their eyes widen at every new sight, to young adults in their late teens and early 20s, whose postures carry the weight of responsibility they will soon bear. Their faces are calm but attentive, their steps slow but purposeful. In the world beyond these walls, they are the sons and daughters of power and privilege. But here they are simply students equal before the lessons of the gods. You follow them into the first courtyard, stepping onto smooth, worn stones polished by the footsteps of generations. The courtyard is rectangular and open to the sky, yet surrounded on all 4 sides by covered walkways supported by sturdy wooden beams. Beneath the shade of these corridors, teachers and students sit cross-legged upon woven reed mats, scrolls of painted codices unrolled before them. The air smells faintly of fresh reeds, clean cotton, and the faint smoke of copal incense drifting from a nearby altar. At the center of the courtyard stands a modest stone fountain. Water spills gently from the mouth of a carved serpent, its scaled body winding gracefully around the fountain's basin. The trickle of water is constant, soft, unhurried, and calming. Its sound merges with the quiet rustle of parchment and the low murmur of students reciting verses, creating a natural harmony that makes the entire courtyard feel like a living, breathing library. To your right, a group of young novices listens intently to a wise elder, his voice calm yet firm. He speaks of history, not as a list of dates, but as a sacred thread that connects past to present, binding the people to their ancestors. His hands move slowly, gracefully, drawing shapes in the air to illustrate his words. The outline of a great temple, the curve of a serpent, the flow of rivers. The students do not interrupt. Here, learning is an act of devotion, and silence is a sign of respect. To your left, another teacher kneels beside two older students as they practice the delicate art of painting codices. They grind pigments from minerals and plants, ochre from earth, turquoise from stone, red from cochineal insects, and mix them carefully with water. Their brushes, made from fine agave fibers, move with steady precision, filling in the intricate designs of gods, rulers, and battles. These codices are not merely records. They are living vessels of culture, meant to carry the stories of the Aztecs through time itself. Above all, the Calmecac teaches discipline. Lessons begin before the sun has fully risen and often continue into the quiet hours of the night, lit by the warm glow of torches. Students learn poetry, astronomy, philosophy, the calendar, the sacred rituals, and the laws of the empire. They memorize long verses in Nahuatl, committing to heart the wisdom passed down by countless generations. They learn to speak with precision, for words are sacred, and to misuse them is to disturb the harmony of the world. As you stand there, you feel a deep calm settling over you, a sense that in this place, every sound, every movement, every lesson is part of a greater design. Here, the mind is sharpened, the spirit is nurtured, and the heart is guided toward a higher purpose. You realize that you are not merely a visitor. In some small way, the Calmecac has accepted you, welcomed you into its sacred rhythm. And as you breathe in the still air, you feel that some fragment of its wisdom will travel with you long after you leave its gates. The teaching areas of the Calmecac are open to the morning air, allowing students to learn fully immersed in the living, breathing beauty of nature. Sunlight filters softly through the leaves of nearby trees, dappling the smooth stone floor and illuminating the gentle curves of the carved wooden benches. Yet seating is hardly formal. Mats woven from reeds and grasses are spread across the ground, and much of the instruction happens with students and teachers gathered in loose, flowing circles. There is no rigid hierarchy here. only a shared dedication to knowledge and discovery, a communal sense that every voice matters and every mind is capable of insight. An elderly teacher, his hair as white as drifting clouds and his face etched with lines carved over decades of careful observation and experience, calls a small group of young children close. His voice is low, soft, and measured, yet it carries effortlessly through the courtyard, blending with the rustle of leaves, the distant murmur of flowing water from the central fountain, and the faint songs of early morning birds. He begins the morning lesson in astronomy, speaking slowly so that every word feels like a seed planted gently in fertile soil. "Look up at the sky," he says, gesturing with a hand that trembles only slightly with age. The students lift their eyes, the soft curve of their necks outlined against the pale blue expanse above. One brave child, her dark eyes wide with curiosity, raises her hand. "I see the home of the gods, teacher," she says softly, almost reverently. "The place where Tonadiu, our sun god, travels each day across the heavens." The teacher nods, his face lighting with a quiet smile, and gestures for them to look more closely. "Yes," he says, "that is one way to see the sky. But what else might it tell us? What patterns do you notice in the movement of the sun and stars? How do they guide us? And what stories do they whisper to those who watch carefully?" This is the essence of learning at the Kalmakak. Not through rote repetition, drills, or harsh discipline, but through gentle, patient questioning that draws students to think for themselves, to see connections, to explore the rhythms of the universe. Knowledge here is not something poured into an empty vessel. It is something nurtured, like a seed planted in the richest soil. It grows slowly, reaching for the sun, opening into understanding in its own perfect time. In another corner of the courtyard, a group of older students practices the art of writing, hunched over sheets of delicate bark paper. Their brushes are made from thin, flexible reeds, tipped with soft fibers, and each stroke is applied with reverence and care. The Aztec writing system is intricate, a marriage of pictographs and abstract symbols, combining representations of objects with sounds, concepts, and ideas. Every student works at their own pace, careful not to rush, aware that each glyph carries significance beyond mere communication. It is a bridge across time, a record that will endure long after their hands have grown old. A middle-aged woman, her eyes gentle but discerning and her fingers stained faintly with ink, moves slowly among the students. She speaks softly, her words falling like petals upon the paper, offering encouragement, subtle guidance, and careful correction. Remember, she says to a boy struggling with a particularly elaborate glyph, writing is not merely a skill. It is like speaking to someone far away, or even to those who will come long after we are gone. Each mark you make carries the power to share your thoughts, your understanding, and your soul across time and space. The children nod thoughtfully, feeling the weight of this sacred responsibility. To be literate in the Aztec world is to be a keeper of history, a guardian of ancestral wisdom, a bridge between the knowledge of those who came before and the needs of those who will come after. Each glyph is a promise, each stroke a vow to honor both the past and the future. You wander slowly through the quiet, sun-dappled corridors, careful not to disturb the serene flow of learning. You observe classrooms filled with soft concentration. One room where students measure and calculate the movements of planets and moons, not as abstract mathematics but as practical tools for understanding the cosmos, predicting eclipses, and determining the timing of sacred ceremonies. Another area shows young apprentices sketching architectural plans, learning the careful proportions and alignments required to construct temples and pyramids that will endure for centuries, monuments of human skill and divine inspiration combined. The calm rhythm of the courtyard, of quiet voices, flowing water, gentle footsteps, and rustling leaves, invites you to breathe slowly, deeply. The lessons unfold like gentle waves, each one touching your awareness and then receding, leaving behind a lingering sense of clarity, peace, and connection. Here, learning is not stressful or hurried. It is a meditation, a sacred practice that binds the mind, body, and spirit to the rhythms of the natural world, to the whispers of the gods, and to the shared life of the community. The Kalmakak itself seems alive with quiet purpose. The stones hum faintly with history. The air is filled with the memory of countless students who have passed through these courtyards, each leaving a subtle imprint of curiosity, devotion, and reverence. Even the fountain in the center contributes to this living energy, the soft splashing of water weaving a tapestry of sound that soothes the mind while sharpening the attention, like a lullaby that nurtures both consciousness and reflection. Here, as you stand among the students, you feel the extraordinary weight of continuity, the deep sense that knowledge is not merely acquired but inherited, protected, and shared. Every lesson, every question, every carefully painted glyph is a thread in a vast tapestry connecting generations. And as you inhale the clean, fragrant air, you sense that some part of this sacred calm, this devotion to learning, will remain with you, a quiet light to guide your mind long after you leave the courtyard. The mathematical concepts at the Kalmakak are taught in ways that go far beyond mere memorization. Students work with colored stones, carefully shaped sticks, and sand spread across smooth stone slabs, creating intricate geometric patterns that are as beautiful as they are instructive. Triangles, circles, spirals, and complex interlocking shapes are arranged in careful designs that illustrate numerical relationships, ratios, and symmetry. The lessons engage not just the mind but the body and senses as well. Students feel the weight of the stones in their hands, hear the soft click as pieces touch one another, and observe the delicate balance of shapes coming together to form a harmonious whole. Each pattern is both a lesson in mathematics and a work of art, a visual, tactile meditation that helps young minds grasp concepts that might otherwise seem abstract and distant. There are no harsh grades here, no sudden punishments, no fear of making mistakes. Instead, there is patient guidance, gentle encouragement, and the understanding that mastery comes in small, deliberate steps, growing like a slow vine toward the sun. In the music room, the gentle hum of flutes, the deep resonance of drums, and the subtle pluck of stringed instruments fill the air with a soft, harmonious rhythm that seems to match the very beat of your own heart. Students do not merely learn to play. They learn to listen, to feel the subtle patterns of sound that connect human life to the divine. Each song is more than entertainment. Each melody is a bridge between the mortal and the immortal, a story told not with words but with vibration, tone, and movement. A young boy practices on a small clay flute, holding it carefully to his lips as he breathes life into it. The notes rise and fall like birdsong carried on the wind, clear and sweet, filling the courtyard with calm. His teacher sits beside him, patient and attentive, listening with the quiet understanding of someone who knows that skill is a journey measured in thousands of small steps. In the gentle accumulation of effort and devotion over time, rather than in sudden brilliance or perfection. The physical education area at the Kalmakak blends movement, strategy, and ritual into a single cohesive practice. Here, students play the sacred ball game called Alamalizli, a game that demands not only athletic skill but coordination, careful thought, teamwork, and profound concentration. The students strike the heavy rubber ball with their hips, shoulders, and occasionally forearms, keeping it in motion along a court flanked by sloping walls adorned with intricate carvings depicting cosmic battles, gods, and mythological creatures. The game is never merely a contest of strength. It is a living enactment of the eternal struggle between light and darkness, order and chaos, the delicate balance that sustains the cosmos. Watching the players, you realize that every movement is meaningful, every pass deliberate, every leap and strike a meditation in motion, training not only the body but the mind and spirit to act with precision, focus, and awareness. In the herbalism garden, students move slowly among neat rows of plants, learning to recognize each by sight, smell, and touch. Medicinal plants are treated as sacred gifts from the gods, each with its own unique energy and purpose. Cacao trees, their leaves dark green and glossy, yield beans that serve both as sustenance and medicine. Chili peppers, vibrant red and yellow, teach lessons in both healing and respect for natural potency. Willow bark promises relief from fever and pain, demonstrating the delicate wisdom of nature in balancing strength with subtlety. An elderly herbalist, her hands stained with the lifetime of working with these plants, guides her students with deliberate gestures. Each movement, from plucking leaves to crushing bark, is performed with reverence. Plants are our allies, she explains softly, her voice carrying the calm authority of generations. They give freely of their power, but we must approach them with respect, understanding, and gratitude. Students take careful notes on sheets of bark, recording not only the recipes and methods but also the appropriate prayers, chants, and ceremonial observances that accompany each treatment. Healing at the Kalmakak is never merely mechanical. It is a holistic practice that nurtures the body, mind, and spirit simultaneously. Philosophy classes are held in secluded gardens where the air is fragrant with the scent of blooming flowers and the soft rustle of leaves. Students sit on mats arranged in gentle circles, facing one another and the teachers, ready to explore the deepest questions of human existence. Here they ponder life, death, duty, and morality. They discuss how one should treat family, neighbors, and strangers, how to balance personal desire with communal responsibility, and how to honor the gods in everyday life. These conversations are never competitive. They are gentle explorations where every voice is valued, where listening is as important as speaking. Students learn that wisdom is not measured by the answers they can recite, but by the questions they can ask, the curiosity they nurture, and the humility with which they approach the vastness of the unknown. Learning is presented not as a destination but as an endless journey, a lifetime of questioning, reflecting, and growing. Every aspect of the Kalmakak flows with patience, care, and reverence. From the quiet rhythm of the morning bell to the gentle splash of the fountain, from the tactile engagement with stones, plants, and instruments to the slow unfolding of conversation and observation. Each moment encourages mindfulness, attention, and wonder. Students learn not only practical skills and sacred knowledge but also how to inhabit the world with grace, responsibility, and awareness, leaving the Kalmakak prepared not merely to act but to think, to feel, and to understand the delicate harmony that connects humans, nature, and the divine. An advanced philosophy student, a young woman perhaps 18 years old, sits cross-legged on the smooth stone floor of the courtyard, her posture relaxed yet attentive, her eyes bright with curiosity and reflection. She hesitates for a moment before speaking, as if carefully weighing each word to ensure that her thoughts emerge clearly and honestly. "I think," she begins softly, her voice blending with the gentle rustle of leaves and the distant murmur of flowing water, "that beauty is not merely what pleases our eyes or delights our senses, but what brings harmony to our souls. When we witness a sunset casting gold and crimson across the mountains, or hear the soft strains of music rising from a flute or drum, we are reminded of our connection to the divine, to forces greater than ourselves, forces that guide the world in patterns of order, rhythm, and grace." Her teacher, an elderly scholar whose hair is silver as moonlight, and whose hands bear the gentle calluses of a lifetime devoted to study, nods slowly, his eyes bright with approval. "That is a profound insight," he says. His voice is calm as a gentle stream flowing over smooth stones. "Now, consider this. How might we apply that understanding to the way we live our daily lives? How might the recognition of beauty as harmony guide our actions, our decisions, our relationships with one another, and with the world around us?" The young woman reflects, then gestures slightly toward a nearby flowering bush, its blossoms opening lazily to the late afternoon sun. "Perhaps," she says, "we can create beauty in what we do, in how we speak to others, in the care we take with our work, in the patience and attention we give to the world. If we align our actions with harmony, perhaps we carry the divine presence into every small moment of our lives." Other students begin to contribute, each voice soft yet resonant, creating a tapestry of thought that weaves together perception, reflection, and understanding. One boy speaks of justice as beauty in action, another of compassion as a form of harmony that sustains communities. Their ideas interlock like the carefully placed stones of the Kalmakak itself, each adding weight and structure, yet none overpowering the others. The teacher encourages them to explore connections, to ask further questions, to contemplate consequences, and to consider not only the visible world but the invisible currents of spirit, intention, and legacy. As the afternoon deepens, the pace of learning remains gentle and unhurried. There is no rush, no artificial urgency, no sense of tasks left incomplete. The school understands the rhythm of growth. Minds, like young shoots, require time to stretch, to absorb nourishment, to reach toward the light. Natural breaks provide opportunity for reflection. Students wander the gardens, tracing the paths between flowering trees, observing insects and birds, feeling the wind on their faces, noting the subtle changes in color, temperature, and light as the sun begins its descent toward the horizon. In these moments, contemplation blends seamlessly with observation, study intertwining with wonder, knowledge merging with reverence. Meals at the Kalmakak are served in communal spaces under the open sky or shaded corridors. Students eat simply, choosing foods grown from the floating gardens of the lake, from the surrounding highlands, and from carefully tended courtyards. Corn tortillas, beans, squash, and fruits fill their bowls. Avocados, sweet and buttery, are shared among friends, while small portions of cacao prepare them for thoughtful meditation rather than indulgence. Every bite is taken slowly, consciously, as if savoring not only flavor but the labor, care, and generosity of the hands that produced it. Conversations drift gently between tables, questions about lessons, observations about the natural world, reflections on the day's philosophical inquiries, never rushed, always considerate, always forming a quiet hum that complements the gentle rhythm of the school. As the sun sinks lower, painting the stone walls in shades of amber and rose, the Kalmakak gathers its students for the evening ritual, a ceremony of gratitude that honors Quetzalcoatl, the feathered serpent deity of wisdom, learning, and divine guidance. The courtyard is transformed into a sacred space. Flowers are placed on low stone altars, small braziers emit the sweet, lingering smoke of copal incense, and water from the fountain glistens with the reflections of fading sunlight. The scent of blooming simpasicil, jasmine, and other native flowers mingles with the resinous aroma of burning incense, creating a fragrance that feels both earthly and celestial. A young student priest steps forward, his voice steady and resonant, filling the courtyard with a cadence that carries naturally across the open space. Great Quetzalcoatl, feathered serpent, Lord of wisdom and knowledge, he intones, we thank you for the gifts of learning and understanding. Guide our hearts, our minds, and our actions. Let the knowledge we receive today flow into the service of our people, bringing harmony, beauty, and balance to our world. May we honor the ancestors who preserved these truths, and may we carry them forward with humility, respect, and devotion. Conversations drift gently between tables, questions about lessons, observations about the natural world, reflections on the day's philosophical inquiries, never rushed, always considerate, always forming a quiet hum that complements the gentle rhythm of the school. As the sun sinks lower, painting the stone walls in shades of amber and rose, the Kalmakak gathers its students for the evening ritual, a ceremony of gratitude that honors Quetzalcoatl, the feathered serpent deity of wisdom, learning, and divine guidance. The courtyard is transformed into a sacred space. Flowers are placed on low stone altars. Small braziers emit the sweet, lingering smoke of copal incense, and water from the fountain glistens with the reflections of fading sunlight. The scent of blooming simpasicil, jasmine, and other native flowers mingles with the resinous aroma of burning incense, creating a fragrance that feels both earthly and celestial. A young student priest steps forward, his voice steady and resonant, filling the courtyard with a cadence that carries naturally across the open space. Great Quetzalcoatl, feathered serpent, Lord of wisdom and knowledge, he intones, we thank you for the gifts of learning and understanding. Guide our hearts, our minds, and our actions. Let the knowledge we receive today flow into the service of our people, bringing harmony, beauty, and balance to our world. May we honor the ancestors who preserved these truths, and may we carry them forward with humility, respect, and devotion. The evening shadows lengthen, the air cools, and the first stars begin to glimmer faintly above the Kalmakak. The courtyard is emptying, but the stones, the gardens, the trees, and the lingering scents retain the presence of learning, meditation, and ceremony. As students settle into their rooms, preparing for rest, their minds are calm, their spirits lifted, and their hearts full. Each child carries with them not only knowledge but also the subtle lessons of patience, reverence, and interconnectedness. Lessons that will endure long after the sun has set, guiding them in every step of their future. By the time the last student lies down, the Kalmakak is enveloped in sacred quiet, a living testament to the Aztec belief that true education nourishes the body, enlightens the mind, and elevates the spirit simultaneously. Here, in this hallowed space, learning is not a duty but a privilege, not a task but a journey, not a fleeting moment but a sacred rhythm that echoes across generations, intertwining the mortal and divine in a harmony as eternal and luminous as the stars now rising above the city of Tenochtitlan. The peace of the Kalmakak wraps around you like a soft, warm cloak, its presence tangible yet gentle. A quiet companion that steadies your heartbeat and smooths the restless rhythms of your mind. Here, within these hallowed walls of learning, you've seen the true essence of education unfold, not as a race or a tally of achievements, but as a patient, nurturing journey, a slow, deliberate cultivation of wisdom that reaches far beyond mere facts or skills. Every stone beneath your hands, every carved symbol on the walls, every whisper of wind through the open courtyards, seems alive with the accumulated knowledge of generations, breathing a serene, timeless rhythm into the very air around you. Your eyelids grow heavier with each measured breath, drawn downward by the profound stillness that blankets this sacred space. The subtle chorus of the sleeping school surrounds you, the soft exhalations of students resting in quiet slumber, the gentle rustle of leaves and wind moving through the gardens, the distant calls of night birds punctuating the silence like whispered guidance from the natural world. Even the ancient stones beneath you seem to exhale a calm, steady hum, soaking into your bones and settling into your spirit. You lean back against the warm stones of the courtyard wall, their smooth surfaces carrying the memories of countless students who have come before you. Each step and gesture now a part of this enduring sanctuary. The history of careful thought, measured inquiry, and mindful observation flows invisibly into the present, merging with your own awareness, connecting you to the pulse of a learning tradition that values patience, reflection, and reverence above all else. Tomorrow will bring new lessons, new insights, and fresh opportunities to engage with the depth of Aztec wisdom. Yet for this moment, there is nothing to do but rest. There is nothing to seek but the gentle embrace of knowledge as it becomes part of you through quiet observation, through mindful presence, and through the slow settling of your spirit into harmony with the Kalmakak itself. Your breath finds a natural rhythm, in tune with the subtle cadence of the courtyard and the sleeping students. Inhale, a soft gathering of energy and awareness. Exhale, a gentle release of tension, worry, and haste. In thought, each breath becomes a quiet mantra, a reflection of the serene lessons learned here, each one drawing you further into calmness, into presence, into a deep sense of belonging. The night air carries a faint fragrance of the herbal gardens and the lingering smoke of copal from evening offerings, subtle scents that mingle with the silence and the shadows to form a tapestry of sensory calm. As your eyelids close fully, the sounds, the textures, the gentle whispers of the school fade into a soothing, endless lullaby. your thoughts dissolving into the timeless rhythm of this place. Dreams begin to stir at the edges of consciousness, visions of stars above, of classrooms and gardens, of teachers and students, all flowing together into a seamless awareness of learning, reverence, and harmony. Here, in the sacred calm of the Kalmakak, you drift, weightless, wrapped in the wisdom and serenity of a space that has nurtured countless minds and spirits. Your mind, body, and heart relax completely, merging with the rhythm of the school, until sleep carries you into a world where knowledge and peace coexist effortlessly, where every breath is a lesson and every heartbeat resonates with the gentle, enduring truth that education touches not just the mind, but the heart, the spirit, and the soul itself. As we reach the gentle close of today's journey together, it is time to pause and reflect on the stories, the sights, and the peaceful moments we've shared. Thank you for joining us in this quiet exploration, for allowing yourself to drift into calmness, and to let the rhythm of gentle narration guide you through ancient worlds and serene landscapes. Each word, each pause, and each scene was shared with the hope of giving you a brief sanctuary from the noise of everyday life, a place where your mind can rest, your heart can breathe, and your spirit can find stillness. Before we part for now, take a moment to remember the lessons of patience, reflection, and wonder we've encountered today. Whether wandering through floating gardens, walking through bustling markets, or resting in sacred schools of wisdom, every step you take in these stories is meant to remind you that there is beauty in stillness, value in observation, and profound joy in being fully present. Let the calm and clarity you feel linger long after you close your eyes. Let it carry you gently into the hours ahead. If you found peace or inspiration in our time together, your support helps us continue creating these journeys. Please consider liking this video and subscribing to the channel so that we may share even more stories, more moments of quiet reflection, and more places where your imagination can wander freely. Your presence here, your engagement, and your care for these narratives are what allow this space to thrive. A space built for calm, curiosity, and connection. For now, let yourself rest. Let your thoughts drift as softly as leaves on water. Your mind release the day's burdens, and your heart embrace the gentle comfort of quiet reflection. Until we meet again, may peace accompany you. May curiosity continue to guide you. And may each new day bring moments of wonder, calm, and the softest of joys. Thank you for being here. Thank you for listening. And remember, the journey is always waiting for you whenever you wish to return.